Received a letter from Tom Anderson of Summerland, British Columbia. He's been driving one of those funny little cars for 29 years, and he reports it still runs beautifully, and here is part of his letter.
This car already had 50,000 miles on it in 1961, but its owner assured me it was still new for a Citroen. I was told this car would always start and never stall. It would get 68 miles to the gallon. It would go anywhere, and it would run forever. Right.
I rolled the top all the way back and headed straight for Baja. There were no roads then, just rough tracks through the desert and narrow trails in the mountains. I soon discovered that this amazing little car really could go anywhere, and in astonishing comfort, too. The car floated over trails where jeeps and campers crashed and bounced, and it would pull through sandy washes where other vehicles were often stuck. My life often depended on the reliability of this car. Like when the tide caught me one night while I was camped on a West Coast beach. I was trapped between the rising sea and a rock wall. How did I escape? I just drove through the ocean.
I traveled on through Mexico, most of Central America, northern Chile, and Argentina. I was forced to leave the car in Argentina for 10 months after being tossed in prison. I had apparently violated a border crossing requirement. Something to do with money, I suspect. Anyway, it took me 3 months to get out of prison and another half a year to rescue my faithful little car. The gas was stale and the battery nearly dead, but using the hand crank instead of the starter, I got the motor going with only a few turns and a couple of coughs. The car lost power on the way home, though, due to a burnt valve, and I ended up driving over 200 miles on only one cylinder. It cost $15 to replace the valve. That's the only repair the car has ever needed.
I worked in Hollywood for a few smoggy years, driving the hideous freeways almost every day, then moved to San Francisco and later to Berkeley. For a while, I was going across the Golden Gate Bridge every morning to do a radio program, then crossing the Bay Ridge at noon to attend classes in Berkeley. The trip back to my mountain camp late at night involved many more miles of city streets, bridge crossings, and twisty country roads.
A quarter of a century later, the car still runs along happily every day with no complaints. A total of 340,000 miles with no repairs other than that burnt valve in 1963. These cars were sold new in the United States and Canada from about 1955 to 1972. For $1,200, you could have everything you needed in a car. Small on the outside, big on the inside. Front-wheel drive, rack and pinion steering, oversized, no-lock brakes, plus a unique independent suspension system that provided the handling of a sports car, but with better traction, and a ride superior to any luxury sedan. Citroen successfully eliminated the design compromises found in all other cars.
I think that I and Citroen have established that one can get along quite nicely with only 12 horsepower. Something to consider as we seek solutions to the many problems created by automobiles.
That letter is from Tom Anderson in Summerland, British Columbia. If you want